Hey, hey, hey. Request to record is off. Collaborate with Zoom apps is off. Set meeting timers is off. Share real-time meeting content is off. Let's let everybody in here. Welcome aboard, everybody. Good to see ya. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Boy, have I missed all of you. Get the heck in here. Faster. How's it going, everybody? Good morning, afternoon, or evening. How we doing today? What are we doing today? What is the meaning of life? All these questions and more on Nick's weekly office hour. I am just busting your balls. Okay, let's jump right in. Where the heck is that dang upcoming weekly office hour thread? All right. Ooh, shit. Actually, hang on, because this is a great question about CRMs. Let me see if I could actually share my CRM view with you, or if there's too much private knowledge for Jin. Because I don't want to show you guys my leads, obviously, but I think I could answer. Yeah. Well, let's just do it anyway, and I'm just not going to share. I'm not going to share the leads, David. Pay me. Okay. Uh, can you guys see this? Hopefully you guys can see this. Boy, am I in a good mood today. I hope your air quality is improved. It is not improved. Andy it says looks clear. He's not talking about this, but like, do you guys want to see something? Do you guys want to see what's outside right now? I think if you breathe the air outside for a full day in Calgary right now, you I think you like have the equivalent of like 30 cigarettes or something. Okay, I mean like I can't really tilt my camera further down unfortunately, but like do you guys see how disgustingly like gray and brown and red it is everywhere? That's actual smoke. Yeah, that's smoke from a forest fire. There's a major forest fire pretty far north of us, but a big southerly wind has pushed it all down. And as a result, like yesterday, you should have seen the AQI air quality monitor. In Calgary, it's pretty normal to like have one just somewhere in your house, right? Because we get the wildfires for maybe like 3 or 4 days a year, or at least we used to up until recently. But my thing was literally beeping. It was going beep 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 beep, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" So I went inside and I realized like I'd left a little window cracked open, and it was like 200 and something. It was like very very bad and dangerous. And then my girlfriend, I went to go for a dinner with my family, and my girlfriend's like, "Hey, do you want to like walk home?" I was like, no. What are you talking about? I'm getting a freaking hazmat suit, sweetheart. You walk home. Jesus. Anyway, just a little bit about what's going on over here in Calgary. Welcome to the weekly office hour, everybody. It's great having you. Thank you very much for coming aboard. In case it is the first time that you guys are on one of these things, the first 45 minutes I always reserve for questions that are asked in this thread right over here. What thread am I talking about? I'm talking about this one. Uh, there we go. So if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, um, what I do is I reserve the last 15 minutes for people that make it onto the calls. Obviously, these are all recorded, right? So we got a lot of people that are watching the recording, and then we got a lot of people on the call. But like, I like to reward people that are here. So if you have questions, last 15 minutes, Steve, I see you typing one. If you could just like pump that into the Zoom chat instead of the thread, it'll just make everything nice and easy and fair. Walt says he's looking forward to weekly office hour number 69. Oh boy, do I have something special for all of you. Okay. Jen Jen has the first question here. He says, Nick, I'm at a point where I really need to utilize a good CRM to track and manage my current leads and projects, and I haven't done so yet. Any advice on a simple CRM setup that helps me automate clients through the process of signing, invoicing, building, delivering, etc. I spend too much manual time, all that shit. I have ClickUp, but it's a mess. Any templates out there? So yeah, like I do have templates for you. Happy to give you one. The thing I will say though is like ClickUp being a mess, that is not a problem of a template, right? That's just a problem of you. And the time that you spend like, downloading a template or whatever and then installing in your business is basically just going to be completely wasted. Like the number one thing about a CRM is literally can you just adhere to it? Any CRM will eventually just become shit, right? And I think we've all probably had this situation where it's like we get a CRM because we want to stay organized, and then 3 weeks goes by, and then you're like, oh, it's a CRM that's making me disorganized. Well, the reason why it's making you disorganized is you're just not like adhering to it. And so, Jen, I think you're running a solo business, so maybe not all of this will apply to you, but generally, every time I install a CRM in any sort of business, I need to assign somebody to be like the champion. Sorry about that. The champion of the CRM. So they need to be like the ClickUp champion, for instance, and they just have to ensure that like literally every record that comes into the CRM has certain things. Like, let's say it's a there's like a salesperson out there who is doing the setting of deals. And every time a new lead comes in, they try and give them a call immediately. And if the call goes through, then fantastic. And if it doesn't go through, whatever. What the ClickUp champion would do is every lead that comes in that doesn't have a certain thing filled out, they would actually reach out to the salesperson like, "Hey, how'd this go? Hey, how'd this go? Hey, how'd this go?" Over and over and over again until the habit is instilled across the entire organization that if you're going to have a CRM, you got to freaking adhere to it. You got to update it. So yeah, like obviously I could just give you templates, and we have templates in Maker School. I'm pretty sure I don't know if I've copied over the template over to the Make Money with Make curriculum, or no, I think it might be in like the first 2 months. But I can send you that template. I'll also run you through just at a very, very high level how my CRM looks for left click right now. But I just want you to know like your big issue is just adhering to it. And it doesn't matter how complicated your CRM is. You could literally get a piece of paper, like literally your CRM could be a piece of paper, Jen. As long as you actually update that piece of paper every day, it will be a million times better than whatever platform you use. And actually, I'm just seeing Verinder said basically that. He said, first I used the best and most expensive Monday. Then I switched the entire team back to Asana. And now we just use a Google Sheet. Like, you would not believe how many big organizations out there are using Google Sheets and are actually totally fine about it. Okay. So it's not the CRM that matters. It is your ability to adhere to the CRM. Anyway, with that all, I just wanted to really quickly show you, and I can't really click on this just because now it's not just me working with left click. I have a partner and we're hiring more people. So it would just be shitty if I just like leaked all my leads. But anyway, the way we've set it up in ClickUp is we have an operations space, we have a growth space with leads, deals, and sales calls, and we actually have like a CRM. And like this is a lot more complicated than probably most people need. Really what you actually probably need, Jen, is you just need like one thing that's just contacts, and your contacts list will have the name of the company and the contract just embedded as a column instead of this, right? But then we also have delivery. Delivery is where we make project management lists basically for every client. And we even have a little human resources folder for hiring. I'm just going to combine the human resources with the operations. So this is a split CRM and project management tool now, right? It's not just my CRM. It's not just tracking my leads. This is the CRM part. But I just wanted to show you guys that so you guys saw kind of, how things are looking. And yeah, like, let me just double check. Uh, yeah. Oh, direct messages. Oh, yeah, yeah. So ClickUp now has like some functionality to replace chats. And so what we're actually trying to do right now is we're trying to replace Slack with ClickUp. Is not going too well, unfortunately. Just because most people that we work with are used to Slack, and so they are now. We had a client just the other day that like was doubling up comms on Slack and ClickUp, and I was like, well, fuck, this just completely defeats the point. But anyway, that could be a cool way to force adherence as well. If you think about it, like if you are in the CRM every day, if you're in ClickUp every day because you have to chat with your clients and everything, like obviously you're a lot more likely to use it. More on that, there are two major ways I would organize CRMs. I would just type Nick Saraev CRM for now and disregard all of the ads. Good God. Um, there is this video here that I published forever ago that shows how I built a Mondays.com CRM for a shuttle service company. So you could watch that if you want to see that in like Monday specifically, which I think Verinder was talking about. And then we also have another resource somewhere in here, and I think it's in like month one or month two. I'm not entirely sure, and I don't really want to like open up everything to find it. But basically, what I do in there is I run through the two different types of, oh, yes, yes, it's 14-day agency. Thank you. There you go. All about CRMs. Cool. And then I run you through the two major ways that CRMs are structured. There are status-based CRMs, and then there are subtask-based CRMs. So I think if you just run through all this stuff top to bottom, Jen, you'll probably know everything you need. And then it doesn't matter what CRM you use. You just need to incorporate that adherence principle. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Are we all on the same page about CRMs? Everybody up to speed here? It is the adherence to the CRM that matters. I don't even recommend people set up CRMs until they get to like Jin's level. Jin has now closed enough deals that I think it makes sense for him to start organizing stuff. But like, you know, CRMs are only as valuable as like the paper they're printed on, basically. They're like the modern college degree. Anyway. Okay, Storm says, Yo, Nick, my current priority based off your last advice is to get my 3 current clients onto a retainer. 6-month lock-in would be ideal. at the minimum amount of hours worked possible. The reason being is I want to focus most of my time on my one main client, which is my digital marketing agency. Cool. I have a good 10 automation systems planned with this client around intake, onboarding, detailed customizable SEO, optimized content generator, social media scrapers, etc., that process all their 50 clients simultaneously based off a central client profile system that is auto-generated from onboarding calls, HubSpot, GHL details, and general online scraping. Jesus. How much money is this client making, Storm? Pretty in-depth systems that'll be processing a ton of data. Seems like the obvious choice is duplicate these systems and then target other verticals within digital marketing agencies. I see a lot of people who target uh, let's see here, who target the B2C business, but this is more like a B2B to C, right? B2B to B2C. Also aiming to target high ticket verticals, specifically in the US, like healthcare, beauty, luxury, real estate, marine aviation, etc., and hope to charge much more because of this, plus an exclusive one agency per vertical servicing, which also prevents the issue with non-competes. Was it you who brought up the issue with non-competes? I think so. Um, so to summarize, because of my limited work hours to dedicate on the agency, I want to pause outreach, switch current clients to minimal work retainers, and go all in on building out the systems for this one major client and then all in on that niche. I'm not hurting for cash because I have another job, so I can afford to have zero clients if need be. The question is this the optimal idea if my target is to grow the business long term, or is it too many risks stacked and I'm just guessing at product market fit? How much money these guys make in Storm? You with us? I think you might have been with us earlier. If you are currently with us, tell me how many dollar bills they are making, and then tell me how many dollar bills you are making. I think that would help a lot. Because like obviously I want to, I want to be able to tell you for sure you should do X or for sure you could do Y, but so much of it is just dependent on your personal financial situation. Okay, is it a one-time thing or is it like a monthly recurring? It might be a monthly recurring. So Storm says they charge 2 grand per client, currently 50 clients. So 2 grand times 50 is 100,000 bucks a month, right? Oh, never mind. Okay, so they just one time per service. All right. Well, anyway, Storm's basically asking, hey, should I continue doing the outreach and then increase my top of funnel, or should I just throw everything else to the wolves, try and lock in like as minimum work as humanly possible, and then just like quadruple down on this agency? In order for us to really effectively evaluate this, we would need to know how big the agency is. We'd also need to know how like much we can expect the agency to grow over time. That's really important. And we should find a way to have, or we should at least be very confident that we could have some sort of incentive-based alignment between us and the agency. So I actually have a very, very similar situation to this, Storm. One of my old clients that I was on a revenue share with was right around $100,000 per month. I think they were at like $90,000 a month when I ended up pitching them. And I pitched them on a revenue share. It was a flat plus a major percentage. If you guys have made it to Maker School Month 4, you'll see that there's actually like a template with the big proposal in there that I've also put in Make Money with Make. And so it shows the proposal that I used to pitch them and, end up winning the deal. Pretty damn cool stuff. But the key for me was like, it ended up taking a lot of my time. I ended up being basically like their ops consultant guy. I flew out to their offices a couple times. Shout out to Roger for doing the same. Nice work there. And it was, it was pretty involved. But the key to that was like we needed the incentives to align. Because why the hell would I double down on something that's paying me flat? I would only ever actually double down on something like this if I was making a portion of the money, because then my efforts would directly correlate with the outcomes of my own finances. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like, can you pitch that? Can you guarantee that you have that pitch? Like, I would not do this until I know for sure that this client is going to pay me some sort of cut. And you're saying that you're confident you can afford to have zero clients if need be. I think we could all, for the most part, at this point, like afford to eat rice and beans all day. But it's like, do we really want to, right? Like, are we really willing to sacrifice those things in order to keep on chugging with zero clients? So I'm a fan of never ever turning off outreach, but I could see one situation in which this would make sense, and that would be if the incentives align and if I'm making a very big cut of the thing, and I think I can help them grow a lot because I have some domain specific experience in that niche. Risk wise, like Storm, you crushed it, man. I mean, you join Maker School, and then within a few months, you're making more money than like 90% of the people there. And then now you're joining Make Money with Make, and you're dealing with like high level problems here, which are fantastic. No doubt in my mind that like life is not going to be risky for you. You know what I mean? You can weather any storm. Like, doesn't matter if you go from your 3 or 4 clients back to one. Like, given a few months, I'm sure you could make it back. So like take the risk, assuming that it's something that you are incentivized. Cool, cool, cool. No problem. No problem. All right, Nawaz says, I'm having trouble with cold emails. I'd like your opinion on how to much the source of a lead list impacts performance. Let's say I get 1K leads from Instantly Lead Finder, which is basically Apollo, then write personalization based off their website. So I will stop you right there. We actually tried Instantly Lead Finder. I don't know if we have any older heads in the Make Money with Make chat right now, but we actually tried Instantly Lead Finder directly live on a call when they dropped the feature, and it was shit. Now I haven't revisited it since. It's entirely possible they've improved the quality of the leads. But yeah, man, like those leads were trash compared to like Apollo leads. I think it was like 1/5 as good for like very similar amounts of money, if not more money. So if you are currently using the Instantly Lead Finder, and you're not having any success, like I would try something else. Yeah. Yeah, just try something else. That's number one. Anyway, this versus the one you talked about in one of the school videos. 1,000 leads from LinkedIn Sales Nav, Phantom Buster, and Email Funnel personalized with an automation. I'm thinking leads from the stack you talk about are newer, fresher, haven't been bombarded a bunch. Yeah, for sure. It's just like it's just a gradient at the end of the day, right? Like a freshness. Basically, I should probably make my little spreadsheet lucid chart thing so I could draw for you, huh? But basically, like the whole idea of waiting 4,000 hours for an app to load is that it loads. Okay. So the whole idea is that, it's not like zero or one. It's not like one or the other. It's like, I don't know, it's like a number scale. You guys ever see these number lines back in school? Like, this is like the strength of the lead. And there are a variety of different lead strengths. And it just has to do with how fresh the lead is, basically, like how few people have contacted them and then how high intent they are, I would say. So probably down at the bottom is Instantly Lead Finder. And I imagine there are a few reasons for this. I don't think the source of their data is very good, for one. But two, it's also the lowest barrier to entry, right? So because of the lowest barrier to entry lead list, a lot of people are going to have emailed them. And since a lot of people are going to have emailed them and a lot of people are probably continuing to email them, it's just like way higher competition, right? Probably next up, like this is me just I'm kind of pulling this out of my ass here, but I would imagine it would be Apollo because Apollo, it's a little more of a barrier to entry because now it's a third-party service. It's not contained within the very software you use cold emailing. You do cold emails in. But Apollo leads are typically cached, so they've like they scraped a source, which I will tell you guys about in a second, and then they just had it for like a few years, and then they're pretty affordable and pretty cheap, right? So that's another one. Over here is like LinkedIn. So most of all of these services in some way, shape, or form are scraping from LinkedIn, right? The reason why is because, well, there are a variety of reasons why. I'm actually literally making a outline for a video on cold emailing right now. So I just did this earlier, but there are a variety of reasons why. LinkedIn is like implied consent. If you're on LinkedIn, you probably signed up to it for business purposes because that's the whole freaking point. You're probably open in some way, shape, or form to being contacted. And you probably have put your website in there because it aligns incentives. You have your website on, people can find your website. They could potentially do business with you. And when you have your website on a profile that is scrapable, obviously you can enrich that and then grab emails and stuff from that, right? And then kind of like the best one is just like custom scrape. What I mean by custom scrape is where just like, if you think about it, the barrier to entry here has just gone up the whole time, right? Instantly Lead Finder, it's super easy. Apollo is, a little bit harder, but it's also very cheap. LinkedIn Sales Nav, like it's a little more expensive to scrape. And then custom scrapers, like this is like time, resources, skill, and then you also have to, usually spend money on the scraping infra. Like no shit, the strength of the leads are going to be way higher because like very few people are going to contact them. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, a variety of different approaches here. So I would just work up the stack, right? No, let's just start with Apollo, and then if that doesn't work, then try and get your leads directly from LinkedIn Sales Nav. And if that doesn't work, then like after a certain point, you do have to ask yourself how good your copywriting is. And here you say, "Hey, I'm a bot at writing copy." Are you a RuneScape woodcutting bot? Because if so, you'd be very effective. Depends on the kind of bot you are, I guess. No, yeah, like you're gonna have to improve your copy too, but that's how you improve the lead list. Quick aside, I'm switching to AI automation as opposed to voice AI, but I can't figure out what a cool lead magnet could be with little to no friction. Honestly, like I don't even disambiguate between these two. Like everybody's like, "Oh, I'm in voice AI right now," and it's like somebody just made that up. Somebody just tried to make that different from AI and automation. But like these are all very similar skill sets at the end of the day, right? Like what I've quickly come to realize as somebody that's like making content on YouTube now is some content creator will just call something something, and they have like big reach or whatever, and then everybody else just like uses that. And then some other content creators are like, ah, shit, I don't want to be looped in with that guy. I need something new and exciting. So some other guy will be like, voice AI. Then you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm the voice AI gang, not the AI automation gang. But it's the same shit, man. It's turtles all the way down. All right, anyway. Yeah, context engineering. Don't get me started, Andy. Jesus. Loren says, hey, Nick, I like your approach of habit stacking and getting the most important things done early in the morning, right when you start your day. However, I struggle to find these tasks for me. What's the mental model you use to find out what tasks to do that every one of us could use too? It is the expected value model. Um, I believe some of us here are probably familiar with the expected value model because I've talked about it a few times. But it is basically, I look to see what is the highest expected value thing that I could spend my time on. And that sometimes is not the sexiest thing. Actually, a lot of the time it's not the sexiest thing. Sometimes it's not the thing that like has the biggest impact. Sometimes it's the thing that is just like the most likely to actually work. But that's how I do it. Let me just run you through a quick example here because I think it's worthwhile for anybody that might be curious. It's called EV. And this is actually something that like poker players use all the time when they try and figure out whether they should fold or whether they should, continue. It's something that like a lot of, yeah, there you go. Nando just chimed in here, ex poker pro here. What I find really interesting is people that have backgrounds in poker tend to be very, very good at business. And then they also tend to be above average in any sort of investing context. And it's because they just inherently understand like how to make quantifiably good decisions. So expected value is a framework that a lot of people use to make good decisions. And it's not a formula that you must follow in order to do things. But anyway, if you just want to find the best things to add to your stack, just think about all of the things that you could do and then identify the expected values of each and then work through them. So, what is the expected value formula? Basically, EV or like the value of a decision. I don't want anybody here to get scared that it's math because it's not math. It's just like a way to think about things, right? Putting it in a formula. So the value of a decision is basically like the projected impact. So how big the thing that you could do is going to do times basically like the probability of success. So let me give you two examples, okay? Because I get a lot of people asking questions about, hey, what sort of business should I start? Okay. So think about like two possible universes here. In universe one, you start a SaaS business. You try and start Uber. Okay. You want to make an Uber and you want to make $1 billion. Well, if you think about it, like if you have that decision in front of you, the making of an Uber, the projected impact of that decision is huge. Like if you succeed, you would make billions of dollars. It would be gigantic. So let's just say the impact of that decision on your own personal finances is $1 billion. You make an Uber, you cash out for $1 billion freaking dollars. That's pretty cool, right? What is the probability of success? It's going to be pretty damn low. Do you know how many people have tried making an Uber in the last like 25 years? That's what VCs are like circle jerking themselves over constantly. Like that's all that people want. They want to make an Uber style success. So there are a variety of things that work against you. If you think about it, like a lot of other people are probably trying to do the same thing, trying to make an Uber in whatever industry. But also it's like it's very difficult because a lot of things have to go right. And probability of that is really low. And then you have to be well resourced. You have to be like well connected, or certainly it helps to be well connected. You're a lot more likely to succeed if you live in a specific area of the world. And there's a low probability for that. So the point that I'm making here is the probability of this actually working out, despite it being a huge projected impact, is very low, right? So I would go as far as to say it's like 0.0001% or something like that, or maybe I don't know. I'm just going to roll with it. Screw it. I haven't done the math. But anyway, the point that I'm making is despite the fact that the impact is very high, probability of success is very low. So maybe it's like 1 in 10,000 or something like 1 in 100,000, right? So let's just do the math on that. If I multiply this out, 0.0000001 times 1, like the math works out so that the value of this decision for you is actually only 10,000. The value of this decision in dollar terms is only 10,000. Now let me show you another example, okay, which is a lot less sexy, but it's what everybody here is currently doing. What is the projected impact of your AI agency over the course of the next, I don't know, let's say 5 years or something? With the Uber, it was $1 billion. Let's be real here. Are we going to make $1 billion selling services to small to mid-sized businesses? No, we're not going to make $1 billion. Maybe one of you guys will, and if you do, please remember me. But you're probably not going to make $1 billion selling services. Just, mathematically. Even if you sell packages for $10,000 a month, if you scale your agency to $1 million a month or whatever, over the course of that time period, you're probably going to make, I don't know, like $25 million or something. So let's just say you pick the middle ground. The projected impact of this decision isn't $1 billion, it's just $10 million, which is much, much, much smaller than this, right? Like just a huge 100 times difference. Hell, we could even make this lower if I wanted to. I could just make it a million, but fuck it, let's not make it a million. This seems like it's not very sexy of a decision, right? Because it's so much less than the big SaaS Uber style thing. Well, think about it. What is the probability of success of an operation like this versus this? This is really like well established, right? It is there's like a defined path. There is a path that I have followed, that hundreds of other people have followed throughout these communities. Hundreds of other people have followed on YouTube. Now, if we just zoom out a little bit, how about services in general? Well, that's an established path that tens of thousands, millions of people, hell, tens of millions of people have followed and made a ton of money with. Probability of that succeeding is very high because there's like a defined roadmap and there's clear competition, because it is like something that you can make money in. So your ability to make $10 million with a business model like this over the course of the next few years might literally be like, I don't know, like 1% or something like that. Okay. And I don't mean 1% for people here. Okay. You guys are all probably have a, I don't know, like a 10 to 20% chance of achieving it, assuming that you consistently stick with that over the course, for that time period. But for the average person, I'm just saying like 1%, right? And if you do the math on that, what is 1% times 10 million? Well, if you just look at it, that decision, despite being so much smaller and kind of like more conservative or whatever, will on average make you way more money. In fact, it'll make you 10x the money. So it's like, well, why did I personally choose this path, the path of the agency, as opposed to the path of some big Uber style thing, if all I cared about was money? Because it was just a lot more reliable of a win. Okay. All right. So hopefully I didn't bore anybody to death here. But this is the same framework that, Nando has probably deeply internalized, and that's how he closed what, like 22,000 bucks last month or something, man. But you've been crushing it. It's the same framework that I use all the time. Same framework that like basically uh, just a lot of people that are successful use. So in your context of like trying to figure out exactly what you should do, just ask yourself like what has the highest expected value. You don't have to do the math, right? Like you don't actually have to walk through the formula and do all that bullshit. Like that's just an example. But just think about things in two ways. How big would it be if I was successful? And then am I likely to succeed with that? The bigger the thing, usually the less likely you will be to be successful. But there are going to be some exceptions. And then when you find exceptions like that where both numbers line up, that's the stuff that you want to do. So think about my example right now. Like why do I do my community management every single day? Why do I like make content every single day? Simply because I now have established success doing that. And so obviously that's the thing that has the highest probability of success times whatever amount of money that I'm making. It's like, I don't know, am I going to spend 3 hours a day doing my website? It's like, no, because I can't find a correlation between my website and me making a ton of money. So it's like, although I probably have a high probability of success making a website, the expected value of that decision is very low because the projected impact is low. Um, anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Anybody have any questions on that just while we're here? Let me take a big fat sip of my coffee. Yeah, if anybody does wonder at that, we could chat more about it. There's a great series of books on this from Farnham Street. This used to be a blog, and they have this and many more, where basically what you do is you basically learn just a bunch of systems for thinking. These systems are very straightforward and simple. Expected value is one of them. Another one is, let's see, first principles thinking. It'll run you through how to do first principles thinking, run you through some second order thinking, run you through some probabilistic thinking, inversion. Like these are all like strategies very similar to that you could use to solve problems. Andy says algorithmic traders and quants are EV champs. Almost everything can be quantified. Yeah, I agree. All right, all right, all right. So Jenny says, I'm trying to build out a YouTube scraper in N8N, but I'm a little stuck. I copied this template from the template library and I'm trying to adjust it a little bit. Are you trying to do this in Make or N8N? N8N, okay. First, I want any incoming data to be deduplicated by channel ID. Let me just double check. I'm actually logged in here. Am I logged in? Yes, I'm logged in. Cool. I don't have to. I was logged into a client account the other day and then I leaked a bunch of their shit, and I was like, okay. Uh, Gianni says, I'm trying to build a YouTube scraper in N8N, but I'm a little stuck. I copied this template from the template library and I'm trying to adjust it a bit. The template and sheet is included below. First, I want any incoming data to be deduplicated by channel ID. Don't know if that looks correct as is. Then after it looped over all the items, I wanted to generate icebreakers for every item through the OpenAI node, then it uploads a Google Sheet. But it does not work properly so far. I am still getting duplicates. Does the way it's set up look right to you? This is going to be your CSV. And this is going to be the actual thing. Why don't we just import the CSV and then we can look at this together. So importing the CSV right over here called YouTube leads. It's just going to be like Nick Saraev. You trying to pitch me, bro? Okay. Boy, is this an annoying looking sheet. Oh man, I hate when sheets do this. Who came up with that, man? Oof, oh, now it's too small. Good Lord. Okay. All right, all right. So what do we got? This is our Google Sheet. Looks like Jenny is trying to scrape YouTube videos. View count, date video, likes, channel name, David Bear. Damn, you got his email address too? No way. 173K subscribers? That's great. Video description? Wow. All right. So he's scraping YouTube videos probably with like an Apify actor, right? Which is cool. Let's scrape this now here. Oh boy, this is just all over the place. Good God. Dude, this is nightmarishly laid out. Is that my fault? That is the scariest thing I think I've ever seen. Why are half of these not connected? Okay, I think, Johnny, what you probably did is probably like AI help you with this or something, right? This is why I think that AI helping you with stuff just sucks for the most part. Like the loop isn't even connected, and then what is this? What's the question mark? Are you using a community node maybe? Because I'm on a cloud version here, so could be it. But also structured output parser, OpenAI chat model. You got some agent stuff here, append row and sheet. I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing a critical update available here. I've just like put that off, but I'm just going to delete this. Let's just walk through all this from first principles here, all right? All right. All right, all right, all right. So what Gianni's trying to do is he's trying to search YouTube. Let's open up this N8N node and let's see. He's first using a set or edit fields node, and then he's setting a variable called search, which is a string, and he's setting it to business coach. Presumably he's going to pump this into YouTube and like look for business coaches. And he just wants like a quick and easy way for him to be able to swap out the variables later, right? To be like, oh, my search is business coach, but what if I have another search? I can just change it here, right? Then he has a variable called channels, which he has decided to lowercase. Man, you gotta like standardize the casing, eh? Just in case. Um, which is a string, which is set to 10. So it looks like he's probably trying to scrape 10 channels with the term business coach, which is cool. Then he is running a actor here. api.apify.com/v2/ax streamers YouTube scraper run sync get data set items. So this is a format. I don't know if you guys know, but like this is a format that you could use to call the API where you just you use like this little squiggly line here, and then you type in this basically. And it's like how I don't know, you can reference it by that instead of the ID. You know how like most of the time these actors have IDs that look like that or whatever? Like this is just a way to do it without it. So that's what he's doing. Okay, anyway. And then what does it actually do? Let's see. Input example. Yeah, so this is where he puts the maximum videos, and then that's the search term. And it looks like the search term is array. Okay, so I mean, like, do I have to sign up for this, bro? If I have to sign up for this, like, I don't really want to do it. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually going to do the signing up. Let me just like figure out where your issue is. Generic credential type. So you're actually authenticating here. I actually don't usually even do the auth here, even though it's best practice. I usually just pump in my API key directly into the JSON. But yeah, anyway, date filter, download subtitles, blah, blah, blah. So here's your input basically to the thing, which is fine, I imagine. I think it's probably fine. I don't know for sure. And then next, you're using this remove duplicates node. And herein is probably the issue. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have not used the remove duplicates node. As somebody that makes content about N8N, you'd think that I would probably have used the remove duplicates node. But yeah, I've just like never really made it work. I would much rather just use like a third-party data store or something like that. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to call a Google Sheet or some Airtable or whatever to store the data, but yeah, just using this remove duplicates node is really annoying as hell. It requires context based off the previous execution. Anybody here know how to use this remove duplicates node? Like if it's something that's simple and straightforward, maybe we should include it. Otherwise, I should just show our boy how to do it without. Anyway, so basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to search through YouTube. And then he's removing all of the duplicates from the prior execution or from previous executions of the same flow. The idea being he would only keep them. Yeah, I know how to do this with Python too, but not N8N. He would only keep them and then send those records in to a loop. Now, what would occur is after he sends those records into a loop, he would scrape the specific channels that we are feeding in using another scraper called API Dojo YouTube Scraper. And what this would return is this would return a bunch of information about the channel. So basically, he's doing this in two steps. He's one, finding a bunch of information about the video, and then he's feeding in this, and then he's looking for a bunch of information. Oh, sorry, he's my bad, other way around. One, he's finding channels, and then two, he's finding a video. That's what he's doing. So, do you even have to do this? Right? Like, do we even have to do this, man? Could you just do it all in one shot? Why don't you just get a big list of no, I guess you're scraping channels. Yeah, I don't even know if you have to do this, to be honest. What's my face so itchy? You might just be able to search for channels up front. Like you might be able to. But anyway, so to dedupe this, here's personally what I would do. I would well, is it within current input though? What he wants is he wants to be able to run this over and over and over again and then remove ones that are processed in previous executions. So why don't I just show you how I would why don't I just show you how I would do this? Um, I would use a Google Sheet and well, you're saying that you're running this exact setup. Yeah, I feel like it would just take way too long to test though, right? Anyway, why don't we get a list of steps for Gianni um, that I'm just going to write down here. We'll just use a sticky note. And I'm just going to give you a generalized list of steps that you could use to deduplicate any input like this. Not necessarily just the specific one from YouTube, but the same flow that I use anytime I'm on Make or N8N or hell, even like Zapier. I'll run you through what it looks like. Okay. This is the general deduplication flow that works in any scenario, workflow, platform, etc. And let's just make this a little bigger. And I'm just doing this so that I could send this back to you later, Gianni. Number one is you need to identify a unique key, okay, in the data that you are scraping. So what is a unique key? A unique key is something that is specific to that piece of data. If we go to our spreadsheet over here, we just run through all the fields. The title, you may think the title is a unique key, but the title is not a unique key. Why? Because on YouTube, two videos can have the exact same title. So realistically, although it's unlikely that this issue would happen, if you try and make the title field the unique key, at some point in time, you'll probably have a conflict and it'll just screw everything up. So don't do that. Anytime you have a field like ID, okay, or UID or UUID, this is generally like a field that is built for the purpose of giving you a unique key, okay? So first of all, we have to identify that column. So, I'm going through URL. I mean, URL is probably going to be unique, to be honest, because it includes the ID. But, still, a view count, date, video, like none of these are going to be unique. So first of all, we have to identify the unique key. What's the unique key going to be? It's going to be ID. Cool. So I've selected the ID here. Once you have the unique key, set this first in your data store. Oh, well, I guess you need a data store. So build a data store. A data store can be anything that allows you to store data. It could be a Google Sheet. It could be, I don't know, Postgres database. It could be BigQuery. I mean, it could be anything basically. But MongoDB. Basically, you just need something that you could store the data in. So what do I like using? I like using Google Sheets just because it's like simple and free, and like most people understand that. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, once you have the unique key and your data store, what you do is you set this first column wise in the data store. So what I always like doing is, in your case, you're leading with the title, right? But in my case, I just like leading with the ID. Just a simple and easy way for you to always know that like, hey, every record that comes in here is going to be different. And by definition, the only way a record is going to be different is if the ID is different. Okay, cool. Now, when you do a scrape, when you perform your scrape, okay, get the data for each record in your array, I guess, in this, but let's just make it general. For each record you return, first check to see if it exists in the data store that you are referencing. You do this by checking your unique key against the unique key of the incoming data. If the database contains the unique key, then stop the execution. And then if the database does not contain the unique key, you can proceed with the execution. This is like a high level deduplication flow that works in any scenario, any workflow, any platform, more or less anything. The whole idea being that you have to make one additional API call or check to a service. In our case, this would be a Google Sheet. But by doing so, like let's say we search this Google Sheet for a record with an ID column of 6FH, whatever. That's going to find that one, and then we stop. We don't have to process that anymore. And so you might spend an additional execution up front. You're going to save yourself all the node execution up front. You're going to save yourself all the downstream node executions later on that would have ran for this. And then, yeah, you just don't need to process data twice. Obviously, there are a million different ways you could do this in practice, but I just wanted to give you guys a generalized one that works because, I know we're all using different code platforms nowadays, and that's one way to do it. Okay, so what does this look like realistically? Hey, thanks for sharing that, Rush. Appreciate you, because I know I've talked about this before. In N8N, for instance, you would have a get rows in sheet, for instance. This get rows in sheet, I have to pick a bunch of data here. Let's do this, and then let's just do this. Basically, you would add a filter looking specifically for the column. Now, in this case, I don't have any columns in this data set. This is for one of my clients that includes, an ID column. But ideally, this would say, like, let's say ID. Now, what we do is we just pass in the ID of the new record, and we just look to see, does it exist? If it does exist, if it does return something, then you could use, an if or a then or any sort of logic. There's a variety of different ways to do so, just to stop the flow of that execution. And then if it does, then you proceed. And then if not, then you don't. So of note, this will only allow you to deduplicate on new entries. It's not going to go into your spreadsheet and then deduplicate the entries. There are ways to do that directly inside of like Google Sheets. Why can I not select my field here? You just go down to data cleanup and then remove duplicates, and then you match by the specific row that column that you want, which in our case would be ID. But that's how you do it for all new entries. And this works agnostic of any no-code platform that you use. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. And then hopefully as well, Gianni, you saw the part at the beginning where I was like, hey, dude, what the hell's going on here? Why do you have all these random ass nodes and random ass modules? I don't think those are necessary. So if you had AI generate or help generate a portion of it, that's probably a big chunk of why. Okay. Costin says, hey, Nick, read your installment in the 25K a month agency course about making two offers. Cool. I should make a mention here. So I've been dragging my feet on the 25K per month agency course. And just started recently going through this and filling out the modules to a level of detail that I wanted to. Because I had a lot of the stuff drafted before at like very small levels of detail, low levels of detail. What I've done here is I've now gone in and I'm chunking this thing out. I mean, this node here, this module here was like over 2,000 words or so. So Costin is seeing this because he's at the stage of his business where he wants to scale it further like that. So kudos to him for kind of getting ahead. I'm going to continue working down the stack. I'm doing one video a day right now. Probably ETA on that is, I don't know, like a week and a half or two. And then after that, I have to actually go through and record a bunch, which will also take a fair amount of time. But I just wanted to let you guys all know that that is now actually under progress. I was juggling a bunch of things and unfortunately unable to commit to the same timeline that I initially wanted to. So that's what he's referencing. Nick, read your installment in the 25K a month agency course about making two offers, first time and recurring. I have a weird scenario. Here's context. Costin is a video game player, so he says, my skills include AI and automation. He's a 7 out of 10. Copywriting, 7 out of 10. Settings, 7 out of 10. Sales, 7. And ops, 7. I'm seeing a lot of 7s here, man. I've never even had a plan for a templatable or productized offer. I believe you're correct. I need to scale. I need to find one of the automations to create in a standardized way. I understand the best offers directly produce money. I've had cases where people start slowly disregarding how much time you save them. Yes, definitely. This makes me think my offer should be related to lead gen. These are the following lead gen methods: content, ads, warm outbound, cold outbound. Never ran ads. I did my fair share of cold outbound, did write some content, and I also did some warm outbound as I worked as a mini setter some long time ago. Possibly just one or two of my clients would need help with these lead gen areas. I like the idea of help you generate X amount of leads per month, but I've never done a system that generated leads. Maybe they enabled leads to get booked, show up more, or close more. So, what would be my first step here in order to create a productized offer? I think I'm a bit lost as this seems quite a pivot from my usual brute force custom projects in an unscalable way mentality. Yeah, wonderful. Costin is quite young. He just hit 20 and he's making, I believe, 15, was it $14,000 or something like that in the last month. So he is running into the upper limits of what one can do with custom projects. From here on out, if you want to continue scaling and pushing through that natural resistance, productization is the way. You have definitely like earned your stripes on the beginner training ground here with all the custom projects. So you have more than enough to go off of. You not having a plan for a templatable or productized offer. Uh, Listen, the simplest and easiest way to do this is you just look through all of the work that you've done for past people. Okay. So all of the work that you've done. So literally sit down, every single project you have ever built for a client, make a big spreadsheet of them. Then for every single one, list the outcomes of that project. So what did the project do? Did the project save them this, make them this? Did it improve this? Did it reduce chaos here? Did it, I don't know, improve the longevity of the thing? Did it reduce churn? Get every single one of these products, every single one of these outcomes, and then get all of the money that you made for every one of these things. And then just trim everything that that did not produce you a lot of money. And what you're left with is you're left with like a filtered list of things you've actually delivered before. So you could confidently say, have actually built this system before for a client that has generated X, Y, and Z, which is very important in any sort of productized thing. Like you need proof, right? Nobody's going to take you up on it unless there's proof. And once you have all of that, then basically you just break all of those down into steps. You don't have to do lead gen. Obviously, lead gen makes things easier, right? And when you can very quickly and easily justify return on investment, you can make things better. And you can price things higher and stuff like that. But you don't have to. So if you don't have a bunch of experience with that, like any step in that direction right now is better than no step in that direction. So yeah, I guess my advice to you would be like you don't have to like rebuild everything from scratch. You don't have to like rebuild your kingdom or build a whole temple or whatever. You can absolutely just go off of systems that you have previously built, and then just scale that up and use those previous systems as case studies. So I know you've done a lot of like back end work and stuff like that. I know you've also done a lot of work with I think like coaching businesses and stuff like that. Personally, from bird's eye view, I think your productized offer has to do with coaching businesses, and it may be installing some sort of system in like info product businesses or agencies, maybe one of the two, that does XYZ thing. XYZ thing could be, if it's like a coaching thing, like reduction of churn or something. It could be maybe like some sort of like hyper automated onboarding system. All right. These things do have immediate value to any coach worth their salt. Could be like content repurposing systems based off of the stuff that the coach has been producing. Like I think you have a pretty good shot there personally, and that's probably what I would press on. But then again, do what I told you, and then go through and like enumerate past all of your wins. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're coming up on 15 minutes here. So why don't I do the meeting chat from here on out? I'm just going to take screenshots of it and then point them into this lucid chart, and then we can just go off of that. No problem at all, Costin. Hopefully this helps. Also, I feel like I've just been butchering this guy's name. I've been saying Costin. How the hell do I actually say it? Please don't let me just continuously screw that up. Man, so I with an accent on the Costin. Okay, I got all these people are starting to make videos about me now. And I have this Bulgarian last name, like, it's like Eastern European and stuff. And so it's Saraev. And every single person has pronounced my name differently. So there's some kid that made a video on me the other day. Uh, it's like how Nick made all this money, or how he's doing whatever. And I was obviously quite flattered by it. But he was like Nick Saraev or something, and I was like, oh boy. Then like when Sam Evans introduced me at the school games, he was like Nick Saraev. I don't think Hormozy didn't even try saying my last name. Thank God for that. But this other guy did a video on me, Max Perzone, and I think he screwed it up to Nick Saroyev or something. Australians call me Saroyev, so kind of rough, huh? Um, they are far from Eastern Europe. Yeah, I don't know either, Wesley. Okay. I'm going to start taking screenshots now of people's questions and then adding them directly to the Lucid chart. Let's see. Okay, Justin says, A question for the end. And by the way, if anybody like didn't have me answer your question, just leave it in the chat below. This is what I do. I always do the first 45 minutes here, and then I do the last 15 minutes in the chat, so we can still get through it. A question for the end. I'm planning to raise retainer prices for a client from 1,000 to 1,500 per month. I've been with them for 3 months now, and the hours have slowly grown each month. I don't want to phrase it as pure hourly bump since I really need my hourly rate raised, not just hours. Any recommendations on this conversation? Would you always have this conversation on the phone or a Loom video? Always have it on a call of some kind. Obviously, it can be like a voice call if they're not comfortable showing their faces. If they are comfortable showing their faces, it's better. Generally speaking, more bandwidth is better in a sales conversation because it one like holds people more accountable. And then two, you just get like way more degrees to show your authenticity and show your value and build your personality. So that's all very important. My recommendation for you specifically, Justin, is don't just treat things as hourly. Right now, you are pretending like you are an API endpoint where they send money in and then your server runs for a certain amount of time and you spit results back. There are a lot of non-material things that you can use to negotiate an increase in the hourly rate. For instance, you could install some new automation that runs in the background. You could offer them some sort of team training. You could offer them some sort of ongoing maintenance on all previous and prior systems. You can do all this without actually offering more hours. And I would get in the habit of basically going through everything that you're offering and then enumerating it, as like line items in a scope, basically. One, I give you X. Two, I give you Y. Three, I give you, I don't know, 45 hours. And that's fine. You can do 45 hours. Four, I give you Z, right? And just make the hour a one line item of a bunch of other line items. Don't make this just like the only thing. In that way, you will have a lot more negotiating room and power. Also, it'll just make your offer appear a lot more like well thought out. I mean, it will be well thought out because you will have thought about it out, right? Okay, Fahim says, Nick, I'm in a unique spot right now. Need clarity on my next move. Current revenue is 32,000 a month. Team size 3 people, servicing 55 clients. Fulfillment is a major bottleneck. Wow, 55 clients? Jesus. What's the math on that, man? Is that what's 32 divided by 55? Wait, yes. So what's that like $581 per client? Is that right? Yeah, $581 a month per client. Interesting. What's this offer again? I think it's like some ad offer. Anyway, team size 3 people. Fulfillment's a major bottleneck. Channel problem. Facebook is clamping down on financial advisor ads. Ah, shit. Accounts may keep getting restricted, which makes it harder to operate. Strength. I believe I'm the best in Singapore at running FA ads, proven by a client closing 2 mil from just one lead we delivered. He made $40,000. Goal. I need to hit 100K in the next 3 months for something I committed to. What did you commit to? Did you like just buy some Porsche or something? No, you committed to yourself. You committed to yourself. I understand that. The big decision I'm stuck on: continue the agency model, but fulfillment is choking. Pivot to productizing my service. I run ads, generate leads, appointments, and sell appointments directly. Shift into selling AI solutions instead. Given my goals, channel restrictions, fulfillment bottleneck, what do you advise is the best way forward? So we have some existential risks here, right? Like if we're just being honest, the cracking down on the financial advisor ads, like that is existential risk. So you have to find a way to either get out of like this niche, or you have to find a way to change the way that you do your ads so that you don't have that risk. It is an existential risk, making a lot of money, but if all of your ads get clamped down overnight, this could go down to zero. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking about. Second of all, you are very good at what you do, right? Clearly. Third of all, you have a massive asset, and I don't know if you realize just how big of an asset this is. You have 55 clients whose payment details you have with you, who are used to spending money with you, and who you are consistently generating a return on investment for. Okay. What you could do is you could go through all of these 55 clients, and assuming you get some sort of non-trivial rate of closing, let's say 15%, with some sort of upsell, you'd be able to close like 8 of these clients on some sort of much higher average order value or lifetime value product. So let's say, you take all of your knowledge here with AI and whatnot, and you build a set of offers that directly relate to the outcomes you're trying to deliver, this ad stuff. Okay. Maybe it's some sort of speed to lead ad. You're probably already doing that actually, but whatever. Maybe it's something that like leads to this. Maybe it's some CRM where they put all the leads, or maybe it's some financial advisor closing package thing where like you build them automations that like automatically email the client after you're done, automatically generate like nice templated proposals, whatever. And let's say you sell all of these on some sort of recurring service with a much higher thing. If you sold those 8 clients at $4,000 a month, you will have duplicated all of the revenue you are currently making. So biggest things are you need to minimize the existential risk of the financial advisor ads. Two, you need to realize that you're sitting on a freaking gold mine here. You have all these clients paying you very low monthly average orders. And then three, I would put together some big offer that is tangential, that kind of combines the two. It's productized insofar that it's like some offer that's well defined and has outcomes and stuff. And it's also related to AI. But then it also like logically proceeds from the financial advisor thing. I don't know what that would look like, but there's something. And then, yeah, you have your service, pitch it to all 55 clients, upsell a portion of them, and then literally double your revenue overnight. So, if the financial stuff does end up getting clamped down or whatever, at least you'll be making money and you'll have a group of people that you are selling stuff that is not directly financial advisor ads to. That's what I'd recommend. All right, we got Anisha's next question. Let's drop this puppy in. What do we got? Hey Nick, hope you're doing well. Quick question for the end. I just came off a good sales call, but I wasn't sure how to end it. Felt like I could have closed on the call as the client was happy, but I also didn't want to pressure the client. I ended up saying I'll send a summary of the call via email and next steps. I then offered a free CRM automation build if you join in the next 72 hours to create some urgency. Also, should I get the client to pay for email infrastructure like Mailreef or Hypertide, or should I invest in that software myself? Like you can do both. There are a bunch of people in Make Money with Make that like pay for all the stuff themselves because if you think about it, it does reduce friction for the client. I don't like doing it, so I think this is just a toss up. Like, do you want to reduce friction? Do you want to make it like an all in one package? Do you want to like maybe increase your revenue a little bit more, keeping in mind that like you're also increasing your expenses? Like, yeah, you could do it, but personally, I much prefer just to I much prefer the client to set it up with me on some kickoff call, and then it's just all in the client's accounts. They own the intellectual property. I still get to use an affiliate thing, so I get to make a little bit more money. Like total amount of money generated is higher. Um, and yeah, so that's number one. And then to answer this question about the how to end a sales call, like you don't have to tell people like, hey, so like the price is $4,895. Make a decision, right? Like you don't have to force people to make a decision. But you also don't have to just be like, okay, I'm gonna get off the call. Goodbye. Hopefully you have a good day. I'm gonna send you an email and you can deal with it then. There are middle grounds to what I talk about in the sales skeleton, right? And a really simple and clear one is just take their temperature, like see how close they are to actually closing the deal constantly throughout the call. Instead of you saying I'll send somebody the call via email and next steps, say, so how does that sound? Is this on the mark? So do you think that this would solve the problems that you put in front of me? How close is this to what you were expecting? Basically, these are soft closes that improve the probability of them actually telling you whether or not they are down. Because it's one thing when you try and feel out a sale; it's another thing entirely when you actually like ask them point blank. And you'll find a lot of the time you'll be confident that the person will say yes to you, but then you'll ask some sort of temperature check question. You'll take their temperature like a doctor, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this sounds pretty good. I am kind of wondering about this though." And then it's like, "Oh, that's the freaking problem. That's the objection." And then you get to handle that on the call. And if you pitch them later, you've now dealt with that objection. You don't have to worry about it. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the high ticket closing on the call anymore, just because I used to go door to door and I used to have to constantly do it. I've had situations where I've wandered into a business that definitely could not afford my services that I then like strong armed into closing a small deal with me that to be honest was not very important. But when I say strong arm, I mean do you have everything you need to make a decision? No? Okay, so what is stopping you from making this decision? Then I try and pretend I'm leaving and it's like, actually, how about this, right? Like just really piss them off and stuff, get their credit card details, bill them, and then I have to deal with a client that doesn't really want to do my service anyway. Like I don't like doing that anymore. But there are shades of gray in between all that. All right, all right, all right, all right. Oh boy. How we doing? Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Can I answer some more questions? Hey, what's going on, Victoria or Thong? If that even is your name. Hey, Nick, I'd love to have a roast of my cold email selling hiring systems above. What signal should I track companies hiring a lot of roles? Also, what videos or stuff should I look for and have a full understanding of that product? Thank you, man. All right, I'm happy to roast you, although I will say we've been doing a lot of roasts recently, Victoria. Have you been sending out these emails? If so, what sort of results have you been delivering? Because I could sit here and I could roast your emails all day. And pardon me, to some extent I am. But like you got to get out there, you got to send the emails, you got to see what the market has to say, and then you got to iterate based off that, right? If I'm the one that's doing all the roasting all the time, you're not going to learn that fundamental skill. So just wanted to point that out. Hey, Eliza, love how you built such a strong network across Asia's legal community. Notice you're actively hiring for legal marketing consultants. We haven't spoken yet, but I work with consultancies in Singapore that struggle with the same challenge. Too many applicants, too much back and forth, not enough qualified people making it through. We build automated hiring systems that screen, filter, and schedule interviews with serious candidates only. This cuts out 80% of the wasted HR time. Make sure your pipeline is always full of qualified consultants. Given your recent expansion into soft skills training, it could be the right moment to streamline recruitment before scaling further. Would you be open to a quick 15-minute chat to see if this could save your team hours each week? If so, let me know if I can give you a ring at 9:30 a.m. or 3 p.m. Well, I'm not gonna lie, like you did a lot of stuff right here, I think. I think you were great because you had a very specific ask, which is awesome. You have specific times, which is awesome. I think your icebreaker is pretty good, like it's not the best, but I think like it's actually pretty good. I think if I were reading this and I was doing something and I saw somebody say, "Love how you build such a strong network across Asia's legal community," and I actually did build a strong network across the legal community, I think I'd actually be like, "Yeah, hey, thanks." Um, I think some things are giveaways here. Notice you're actively hiring for legal marketing consultants. I think some people are going to think that that's just like a templated variable that you're reaching out on behalf of. I like that we haven't spoken yet, but I work with consultancies in Singapore that struggle with the same challenge. Too many applicants, too back and forth, too much back and forth, not enough qualified people make it through. I mean, this is reasonable. Yeah, I mean, like, if I could rate this, I'd give you like, I think I'd give you like a 7 out of 10. Um, anyway, the number one thing that I'd probably change is I would try and make this dollar sign. Because 80% of the wasted time and make sure your pipeline is always full of qualified consultants is very vague. It's pretty general. I think if I were you, I would try and get much more specific in the benefit. And then I would also offer some sort of risk mitigation because you don't currently have any sort of risk mitigation in place. Also, don't say it could be the right moment or it could be the right time or this might be worth or whatever. Like, just be confident if you're going to make a pitch. And then anytime you talk about, is this worth a chat to see if it could save your team hours each week? Anytime you just have something like hours or thousands of dollars or money, this is just like it's almost like a red flag saying you're not being specific enough. Like if you have to say something vague like hours, odds are you're not drilling deep enough into the specific benefit. So like I would never say hours. Hey, this will save you hours each week. It's like, no, this will save you between 15 to 20 hours each week, estimating around $5,000 a month in savings, right? Like that's how specific that you need to be. I would say if you really want to crush it. And there are a variety of reasons why. I mean, there's like, believability, which is important. A lot of people on cold email are just like total bullshitters, right? So you need to make yourself stand out from them. And the way that you do so is by being very specific and in doing so, being very believable. But yeah, it's also like a defined benefit, which people like. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. I realize that there are, I think, probably 5 or 6 questions here I was unable to answer today. If you guys still want me to answer that question, please do me a solid and just copy those questions right now. I'll give you guys 15 more seconds or so. I'm going to post another weekly office hour thread, and you guys can just stick them up to the top. Also, obviously, I'm happy to answer questions like throughout the Saraev. I'm happy to answer questions throughout the week as well. So like, don't feel like you have to wait until next week. You could just take your question, make a post about it in the school, and then I'd like happily respond to it. If you guys like live calls and live events like these, then definitely check out the Fireside Chat. You know how Gianni earlier was asking about his N8N flow? Well, he has a very interesting and fun story to tell you about his journey from being a gardener to a WordPress dev to now selling cold email systems and making money with it. So I like to think that this is probably as realistic a path for somebody that comes from like a local services background that has no experience with this stuff. And I think that applies to some of you. You guys could see exactly what that would look like as well. Awesome. Thank you very much. I think I've given everybody here the time. Have a lovely rest of the day. And anybody that is new here, welcome aboard to Make Money with Make. Looking forward to having you. Looking forward to seeing you crush it. I'm going to upload this recording very quickly. Have a great one, guys. Bye.